might even consider it to be a little bit old school, if you will. The Tigers are still very much in the mindset, and I think rightfully so, for a large portion of parents and student athletes. The Tigers are in a spot where they accentuate the academic side of the program, the family feel of the program, and I think it's also enhanced by the championship pedigree that they've got during the college football playoff era. Like there is a multitude of things that goes into all of this for the success of the program. But ultimately, Clemson still in an era where the game is changing, some people, and again, with the transfer portal, we can discuss at length about what Clemson ends up doing with the transfer portal at any point. But I think the reality of the situation and the circumstances that we look at with Clemson at this point are Dabo Swanny believes and holds firm that the way he wants to be successful can be successful without having to shift the focus for players on how much you can get. It's still about the culture. It's about the brand. It's about there's no I in team. You know, it's a different mentality that certain programs like Clemson are still pushing, but recruits and many times their parents, I think, really appreciate it. Like, yes, I get it. There are a lot of players that come from humble backgrounds. They come from situations that are incredibly difficult to imagine. And maybe some of you even grew up in similar situations, and you can appreciate the guys that have really had to scratch and claw and their parents have fought to put food on the plate and you know, all of the things that can sort of encompass some of these individuals' lives. The fact that there is still this emphasis on education and the importance of that for the student athlete. Like if you said to me, Swanny, like, because you guys listen to this show, I'm not a win at all costs kind of person. Like that I'm never going to be the out for blood type individual. That's just not who I am. And I think the mindset that Clemson presents to recruits is a similar one in that, look, this isn't and shouldn't, this opportunity, collegiate football, isn't and shouldn't be professionalized, isn't and shouldn't be pro football. And if your only thought is, I want the money, then maybe there's another place for you that's not Tiger Town. And that's okay. I know that's difficult for some Tiger fans to embrace because in that moment you go, I don't know. How do we keep up with the Joneses? But I don't think that having an impact and a direction, a directive, so to speak, on the educational side of things, helping guys better prepare for their future outside of football because of the small percentage of guys that will go on to play professionally. Like, let me give you a prime example here, okay? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Let's just take a player at random. You pick him. Any Johnny come lately. Doesn't matter. This kid goes to school X. And he gets there, and the coaching staff has said, look, we've got some great opportunities for players with NIL. And certainly there are programs out there that are probably doing that in the courtship of the student athlete. And that kid goes and gets a deal. $100,000 for his entire time at the school, whatever that number is, but doesn't get the education, doesn't get the workforce training, doesn't get to the NFL. Well, now you've got a young man that he got $100,000 over 4 years, That's awesome, but he's leaving with very little in his toolkit for success as a human being. Flip that to a situation where that same kid commits to another school who maybe does push the emphasis of education in the master's degree and programs to help these players excel off the field, recognizing the small percentage that do make it into the NFL. And now that kid instead finishes up his playing days, lands a job making $60,000 a year in 2 years out of school, in 2 years after his playing career. He's already made up for what he would have gotten at another school, potentially with an NIL deal, but he's prepared for the next 45, 50 years of his life. And that is an area that still resonates with parents. And I think whether you're a Gamecock, Bulldog, Yellow Jacket, or Seminole, I think that if you ask yourself, if you were on a recruiting visit or you were looking to have your child end up playing collegiately somewhere, what things are going to influence you? Most of you are going to say it's the education. Because if we go back and take football out of it, and you just talk about your own child right now, sports out of it, your own child choosing where they want to go to college, what things are you looking for? You know, you want them to go somewhere where they can get in the right degree field to be successful for whatever job they want in the future. And you wouldn't put them somewhere that they couldn't achieve those goals. Now, there might be situations where financially you might start them off at a tech school and things like that because that's, you know, a wise financial decision. But if they know I want to be an engineer or I want to be a news anchor or whatever, you've got to kind of put yourself in the right place. You've got to create the opportunity. And even if one place was saying, hey, look, we can give you a little extra here, but on the flip side, maybe you recognize you're not going to get the same value in the education, sometimes maybe in the atmosphere. Like I know Gamecock fans won't love this next take. Florida State fans won't love this next take. But the reality for me, having been on those campuses and having been at Clemson, there's an intimacy that Clemson University offers 18 to 22-year-old kids that doesn't exist in cities, doesn't exist at Southern Cal, doesn't exist at South Carolina, doesn't exist in Tallahassee. I think that there are people who that fits perfectly. They're like, yep, that's where I want to go. That's not me. And there are going to be players that are going to say, Clemson's not me. Like there are people that are going to feel that way. That's perfect. That's the nature of opportunities. You know, there's a reason there's not just one flavor of ice cream. And the fact that Heavenly Hash is the best flavor is not my fault. But truth be told, if you are focusing on the aspects of NIL only as it pertains to recruiting as a parent or a student athlete, you're probably not thinking in the best interest of your child's future. And this goes back to the question that we've posed for years to students and student athletes. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I want to play in the NFL. Well, what if you get in a car crash and you can't? You lose a leg, you're paralyzed. What are you going to do then? What do you want to do with your life that doesn't take place in betwixt lines on a field? And that, I think, is still what Clemson offers. That's what I think is continuing to make Dabo Swanny and his staff stand out to a specific group of individuals. Does that mean that every time Clemson's going to land the number one prospect in a class? No. Nobody does. Does that mean Clemson could land the number one prospect in a recruiting class? Because even the top guy in the sport is more interested in what Clemson offers from that standpoint? Absolutely. Because those student athletes and those parents exist. They live amongst us. And there are multitudes of young men that are going to look at this program and they're going to say, this thought process is not for me. But here's the kicker. The ones that do, the ones that accept it as what it is at this point, and the way it's all set up, here's the thing I'll tell you. I believe those individuals are more adept at a couple of things that some other student athletes out there are not. Most notably, being flexible. Most notably, being a little bit more understanding of development and how just because you're a star doesn't mean that you necessarily start, right? You have to earn it. There is a byproduct of the mentality of the young men that Clemson wants to bring in as well, that I think there's an appreciation for the little things that go into the bigger things. And that's why the culture works. It's not for everybody. Southern Cal is not for everybody, right? There is a uniqueness to the way Clemson is currently marketing their brand to student athletes that I think resonates with a specific type of prospect. Now, and there are still going to be sometimes in some instances where this kind of goes twofold. It goes two ways. There are going to be top flight guys that you want Clemson to offer, but they're not going to, because they have recognized that this prospect, or maybe they offer them, but they don't plan on taking that kid per se, because they recognize that this player could be more detrimental to the success of the team than they could positively impact the team by how they play the game. And again, these aren't specific individuals per se, but there's something to finding kids that have that DNA that Clemson's looking for. And I think that is the part of, takes a guy that's got 3 stars and you look at him and go, man, how did that kid turn out to be such a great player? Well, he did the little things. He didn't expect anything. He earned it. And when that becomes a focus of your program, when that becomes the thing that you can really pinpoint for prospects and parents about what makes you different, then as Dabo Swanny and the coaching staff would say, the Paul says it all. The Paul says it all. 803-450-0086. It is a Tuesday afternoon. We didn't have a guest yesterday. William Qualkenbush is doing the vacay thing. We'll get hooked up with our buddy Mike Yuva, though, in hour number 2 of the program today. Looking forward to catching up with him. Mike, he covers the Gamecocks for GamecockCentral.com. He's on Twitter at Mike_UVA. We'll hit a break. Stay with us.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Right now, no traffic accidents or tie-ups, but it could get busy around local polling places because today is primary day. From the 103.5 FM WVOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Baconator. Don't let breakfast be boring, but it could be better. Wendy's Breakfast Baconator will have you feeling sunny side up all day long. Wake up to fresh cracked eggs, savory sausage, and oven-baked bacon, of course. Order it and start looking forward to tomorrow morning at participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours only.
Hey everyone, I'm CJ Toledano.
And I'm Alex Wong.
If you want a podcast about the NBA and everything that's taking place off the court, I'm talking about fashion, I'm talking about social media, talking about favorite post-game quotes, we've got you.
You know we're talking about starter jackets, Alex.
Yeah, I know, and you're going to remind me about the Charlotte Hornets one that my parents never bought me.
Ooh, I'm sorry about that.
Anyways, check out Running the Break with CJ and Alex on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
By texting 64000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Possible Finance. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. No guarantee of credit score increase. Terms apply. Available at possiblefinance.com/privacy.
I screwed up my credit when I was younger.
I often find myself scraping by right before rent is due.
If you need cash or are looking to rebuild credit, Possible Finance can loan you up to $500 in minutes. Good credit not required. Just text SCORE to 64,000 to download the Possible Finance app.
Within an hour of applying, there was money on my debit card. Where else are you going to get money at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night?
Repay the loan in installments and change your payment date with no fee.
For someone who's building credit, this is the best. My credit score went up after the first 2 payments.
I had trouble paying, so I moved my payment 2 weeks later without hurting my score. It helped me big time.
Just text SCORE to 64,000 to download the Possible Finance app and get up to $500 in minutes. Text SCORE to 64,000 to download Possible Finance. Text SCORE to 64,000.
Families affected by disasters urgently need support. Help the American Red Cross provide meals and shelter to those affected by disasters, big and small. Donate to Red Cross Disaster Relief. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I am your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. The ammunition, unfortunately, was not stored separately. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Now, back to Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for the 2018 National Championship Tigers, Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Rocking and rolling with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. A little rain came through earlier. Not going to lie to you. Your boy Swanny loved it. I really did. 803-450-0086. Text line and phone line. Be a part of this show anytime. And, of course, tell your friends and neighbors about the program. And excited. We ran the show live yesterday, streaming it. No video. Still working. I actually ordered the camera today. And I think that camera is going to be one of the over-the-top enhancements that might very well bring us back to the live video for all you guys. So, again, looking forward to it. 803-450-0086. As I mentioned before the break, Mike Yuva said to join us in just a little bit. So I saw an article on Fox Sports mentioning who is the best quarterback in college football right now. And look, I don't think that there's really a question at this point who the best quarterback is in college football. I mean, it has to be Bryce Young heading into this season given the success he had a year ago, Heisman Trophy, all of that. Now, they didn't win the national title, but to me, I don't think that it's even close. Now, a year ago, the thought process would have mentioned DJ Uiagalelei. He is not there, and I think this is a positive for DJ in a lot of respects. So the top 5 names they mentioned, C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, Caleb Williams, formerly of Oklahoma, now at Southern Cal, and then Will Levis at Kentucky. And I'm assuming I'm saying Will's name right, just not 100% certain on that. But the thing about this, to me, maybe more than anything, is the recognition of how valuable the quarterback is in the college football game. And I know we've known that for a while, and nothing signifies that maybe more than your belief that a couple of things, all right? Your belief that Deshaun Watson and Clemson in 2017, had Watson stayed as a senior, don't get beat by Alabama when Kelly Bryant is the quarterback. Your belief that Trevor Lawrence and Clemson in 2017, if he had been a year early and the quarterback, would have beaten Alabama. Like those are things that Tiger fans have believed, because the thought is that Kelly Bryant, while good, was not great. And kind of looking at the whole package, if you will, during this entire kind of run of success for Clemson, the best years have been when you've had the best quarterbacks. And so it should be no surprise that virtually every one of those teams, and again, leaning a little bit when we say Kentucky and Oklahoma at this point, but Alabama, Ohio State, Southern Cal are potentially going to contend. Southern Cal may be a fringe contender, but most definitely at some point along the way are going to become contenders for the college football playoff. Additionally, I think it also speaks volumes about how far the running back has slipped. And for those of you who are probably 40 and up, you remember when the game was really about who's the running back on your team. Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, who's the running back? Terry Allen, who's the running back? Harold Green. Like, you go through the running game many years ago when that was the majority of the snaps. But what's happened now, more than the passing game has become a bigger asset. It's kind of like the three-point shot in basketball. By the way, NBA update coming in just a minute. But the ability for now running backs to catch the ball out of the backfield, and as I said here a couple of weeks ago, the old, running between the tackles that, when I was playing, the calls weren't very fancy, all right? And they probably aren't too fancy even at this point for college teams. There's probably still a little of this to it, right? But, if they called a 28, that was a sweep to the right, 8 being the outside gap, 27 sweep to the left. 22, man, you were going to hit between the center and the guard. 22, 24, you just kind of moved it on out, so to speak. Well, now those runs on the interior don't exist the way they used to. Not as much, not as frequently. I mean, the downhill bruising style backs are out there. Derrick Henrys of the world, Bo Scarboroughs of the world, but they're not as commonplace as they once were. And I do find it pretty fascinating how if you have, and this is what hurt Clemson a year ago. DJ can be a great quarterback, but he wasn't a great quarterback a year ago. It was not all on DJ, but a lot of it was. And because of that, Clemson doesn't achieve the goals that many people had set for them. 10-3, Cheez-It Bowl. And that's the kind of performance for the year that DJ had. It was kind of a 10-3 Cheez-It Bowl type year. You got to play at an elite level. You got to play at a championship level to get to the championship. And those quarterbacks that are currently there are, fit that mold. I personally think that it's still Bryce Young. I mean, he's the top guy in college football. All right, we'll hit a break at quarterback. We'll hit a break. When we come back, NBA rundown with you. Stay with us on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk.
It's summertime at Galliana Kia on Greystone. And summertime is the best time to get out of your old car and upgrade to a cool new Kia. Featuring brand new Kias below MSRP. Like a 2022 Kia Rio LX, just $16,990. All new 2023 Galliana Kia Sportage LX, now in stock. Lease for just $259 per month. Plus, we'll give you exactly what your trade is worth, down to the penny. High mileage, cosmetic issues, unreliable, all trade-ins are welcome. So if you want to get out of your old car and upgrade to a cool new Kia, don't miss the summertime sales event.
You should be driving Kia from Galliana Kia.
New Kias for sale below MSRP. Only at Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Rio stock number 2K1124. Sportage stock number 3K3011. 36 months lease, $39.99 to assigning plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. No security deposit subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Man, these South Carolina temps. Keep comfortable with a WilsonsAir.com weather update.
A very hot day, very unseasonably warm. My gosh, please make sure you put water in your body. Highs today, 104 for ABC Columbia, Channel 25. I'm Tyler Ryan.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, make sure to cast your vote for the official combo meal of MLB at DQ.com. With Tim Anderson's Burger and Blizzard Meal and Bryce Harper's Burger and Blizzard Meal, you just have to try both. Vote for your favorite at DQ.com. Happy tastes good.
Of course my kid's in the right car seat. Well, I think he is.
Yeah, my kid's in a booster seat. He was ready to move up. He is ready, right?
Her car seat looks like the right size.
There are probably rules on when to move up to a booster seat, aren't there?
Rear facing, forward facing. I think I have it right.
Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Don't think you know. Know you know. Go to safercar.gov/the right seat.
I know my child's in the right car seat, or else I wouldn't get in the driver's seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do. Oh, tell the world I see with an emoji to stop the bullies.
Know someone who's being bullied online? Send the witness emoji. It looks like an eye in a speech bubble, and it's in the symbol section near the clocks in your phone. You'll let the world know it isn't cool, and you'll let your friend know you care. Learn more about the witness emoji at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much, but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Sports Radio, Fox Attitude. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Rocking and rolling on a Tuesday afternoon. The NBA playoffs, we've talked about it here on the show quite a bit, and now we're at the finals. Last night, Game 5 out in San Francisco for the Golden State Warriors hosting the Boston Celtics. And I said before the game, and I'll hold firm on this fact, this has been a tough series to predict, but I think I nailed last night. It did appear, and I'll give the Celtics credit for fighting back in the third quarter to make a game out of it, but quite frankly, that felt to me like a matchup where the Boston Celtics were a little bit overwhelmed at times, and they, the Golden State Warriors could smell blood in the water. The series sort of flipped, and it all flipped really with Game 4. Incredibly, though, Steph Curry was not great. 7 of 22, 0 for 9 from downtown. He had not played in a game where he didn't make a three-pointer in 233 consecutive games. And I don't think he'd ever had a playoff game where he didn't make a three until last night. Steph Curry just has 16. But Andrew Wiggins, the former number 1 pick, plays out of his mind. 13 rebounds, 26 points. Klay Thompson gave you a strong second fiddle with 21. Gary Payton II gave you 15. Jordan Poole with 14. And the combination of those guards, and there was one point in the game where the Warriors had a group on the court that had not played together all season. And quite frankly, they jumped on Boston early. I thought that Steph Curry's attempts to drive daggers home, he shot, in my opinion, he shot Boston back into the game. And then after the half, Boston, who has been poor in the third quarter, the entire playoffs really, storms back with a 35-24 frame to make it a game going into the fourth quarter. But yet, not enough. Golden State 104-94. They lead the series 3-2. Jason Tatum scored 27, did what he had to do. Marcus Smart did what he had to do, scored 20. The Celtics just had a moment early where they were swarmed. And again, I give them a ton of credit because they fought back and got in the game. Because I thought, honestly, after the first quarter, I was like, uh-oh, this is going to get sideways. But it didn't, to Boston's credit. Now their backs are against the wall. The good news is they'll be at home. And the other thing, too, I would say, and I hate this, but you got to wait. You got to wait until Thursday for this game. Another half a week. You got to wait till Thursday. 9 o'clock on ABC. Golden State looks to hoist a championship. Boston hopes to force a Game 7. But it was Andrew Wiggins, and the thing about Wiggins is this. When you play the way that he plays the game, he's not somebody that's going to command the basketball. He's not a Jason Tatum. He's not a Kevin Durant. He's not going to come up the floor and expect to catch it on the perimeter and make a play. And so what that does when he's playing with Curry and Poole and Klay Thompson is it limits, his opportunities because he doesn't demand the ball. And even though he's the number one pick, he doesn't carry the number one pick mentality either. And that's the other thing. He doesn't exude this arrogance of being the number one pick that deserves the ball. And so what happens is a lot of times he can get a little bit lost in the wash. But last night he was fantastic. Curry, I mentioned, 0 for 9, 233 games with a 3 made, 132 straight playoff games with a 3 made. Did not make it. Other storyline to follow? If you want to know, for me, going into Game 6, I'm not saying that Steph Curry is has to shoot lights out from the perimeter in that ball game. But this is the greatest shooter we've ever seen. And he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder. Not to, I don't think he's got to go 7 for 8. But I know this. He's going to hoist them early and often. He's going to want to knock down that 3-point shot. And maybe more, right? 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. Don't forget our buddy Mike Yuba coming up on the program in hour number 2. I was taking a look out the social media. Speaking of the NBA real quick, I went up and watched the Hornets take on the Memphis Grizzlies with my son. He wanted to see Ja Morant. And one of the notable things that took place there was the development of Montrezl Harrell, who had just joined the Hornets a couple of weeks before we got to see him play. Dude, he got arrested in Kentucky. Of course, he played at Louisville, right? Harrell, facing felony drug charges, he had 3 pounds of vacuum-sealed marijuana in his car. 3 pounds. And I don't know what's going to happen here, but Montrez, what are you doing, bro? Pump the brakes.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little
Speaking
tips
of brakes,
for a
we got a
healthier
hit one.
planet.
Stay with us.
Less than 1% of water on Earth is drinkable, and humans are using it faster than nature can replenish it. Reduce the amount of water you use in the bathroom by taking shorter showers and turning the water off while you brush your teeth. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living, or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hi, this is John Farley. For the past 12 years, you've seen me on TV. But before becoming a meteorologist, my first degree was actually in finance. My parents, like a lot of people, didn't know much about the financial world. As a result, they got exploited by some not-so-honest folks. That's why finance has always been a passion of mine, and for the last 6 years I've been working with the team at Preservation Specialists to help people just like you plan for your retirement. What I love about Preservation Specialists is that we are locally owned and fiercely independent. That means we simply work for you. If that's what you want in a financial advisor, then give us a call now at 803-9RETIRE. That's 803-9RETIRE. Don't make the same mistakes my parents did. Work with an advisor who can help get you to and through retirement successfully. 803-9RETIRE.
Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Kalos Capital, Inc.
And Doug. Chances are you're jamming in your car right now. And since Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance, so you only pay for what you need, Limu and I are going to show you some safe car dance moves. Hit it. Everybody, check your blind spots real quick. Now hands on the wheel. Put them 10 and 2 and move your head like a bird do. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
DQ presents the sound of an all-star summer lineup. Leading off, the promising rookie, new Oreo Dirt Pie. On deck, the fan favorite Girl Scout Thin Mints. Summer standouts, drumstick with peanuts and cotton candy. And batting cleanup, it's you. With your red spoon and 6 summer blizzard flavors, official treat of MLB. All part of the new DQ All-Star Summer Blizzard lineup. DQ? Happy tastes good.
Have you ever heard of the Yips? What about the Twisties? Join me, Justin Sua, for Losing Control, a new podcast about one of the strangest phenomena in sports, the yips, or when an athlete or elite performer suddenly finds themselves unable to do the thing that they do better than almost everyone else on the planet. That's Losing Control, a new podcast from Sports Illustrated Studios and iHeartRadio. Listen to Losing Control on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Batteries?
Dead.
Great. Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have no towel.
Good enough. Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
And what about food?
Nope.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated, yeah?
The library. Aunt Joan's house. The bus stop.
Great. And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Sounds like we don't have a plan. What's up for mini golf?
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. A public service announcement brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Now you can talk back to Teddy, Rob, or Lawton. Just look for the microphone on your iHeartRadio app and share your thoughts with Fox Sports Radio 1400.
The show that shakes the Southland. We're on Twitter at Clemson Sports. Go follow us. Made a little tweak to the audio settings here on the program today. Let me know. Do we sound a little? Do we sound a little better? It's a little more crispy, especially you podcasters. I really want to hear from the podcasters. What do you think? Audio good? Better? Worse? It's funny because it's really a personal thing. You know what I mean? Like to choose it. It's not a it's something that's intimate to you. You like it the way you want it, but I don't know. I thought it sounded a little hollow, maybe the right word, but now I think we're better. I'm probably going to keep playing with it a little bit and see if I can't make it sound a little bit better for sure as we get closer and closer to dropping the stream back live. All right, so College World Series. We got our final 2 participants yesterday as Auburn and Stanford locked up their spots in the World Series. That means 6 out of the 8 teams are from the SEC or future SEC. The only 2 outside of that group, Stanford from the Pac-12 and Notre Dame from the ACC. Auburn, the 4th official ACC school there with their win. Then, of course, Texas and Oklahoma going to be moving to that league. Games get going on Friday now that we've got all of the participants in. Oklahoma and Texas A&M will face off at 2 p.m. on ESPN. Former Big 12 members, future SEC members facing off. Then on Friday at 7 o'clock, it'll be Notre Dame and Texas. On Saturday, Arkansas will take on Stanford at 2 o'clock. Then Ole Miss and Auburn will face off at 7. Now, the thing that I have wondered about this College World Series over the past couple of days, really since Notre Dame ousted Tennessee, it's not like baseball is a sport where there's one dominant team that you just go, yep, they're gonna maul through everybody. But it kind of felt that way. I think Tennessee lost one season series this year. I think lost to Kentucky, and yet they don't make it out of the super regionals. And again, whether it's all of the antics, the bat flips, everything that they did that sort of annoyed the purists of baseball. And truth be told, I'm not annoyed by Tennessee at all because I didn't watch Tennessee at all. Not once. So whatever shenanigans they were doing doesn't bother me. I mean, that's like me being concerned that my neighbor's kids are doing something dumb right now. Like, what am I supposed? I mean, as long as they're not catching my house on fire, what am I like? What is it my business? So I didn't watch Tennessee. I just know how good that team had been because anytime you saw highlights of them, I mean, they were just electric at the plate. They were great on the bump, and they were the top team in baseball. And you just wonder if at this point with them out, these other 8 teams, if there is a renewed sense of opportunity. And again, it's not to say that you couldn't have beaten them anyway. But this is essentially a season where Alabama in football is dominant and they get beat in the SEC championship game and don't get into the playoffs. Now it feels like it opens things up for 4 other teams. This is essentially Duke or Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. Looking like they're going to steamroll everybody, but they get ousted before the Sweet 16. Now there's an opportunity for teams that didn't feel like a chance existed. And that, I think, is going to be part of the beauty of this series, even though it is, again, very SEC-centric. You're going to hear about that quite a bit. I mean, you've got the one SEC matchup already, the actual SEC matchup with Ole Miss and Auburn. So, I mean, that's one positive. There's only one true SEC matchup. The Oklahoma A&M matchup will eventually be an SEC matchup. But the dynamic that could, I guess, unfold would be an all SEC, air quotes, championship series. And the other thing that I guess could also come out of this would be maybe Notre Dame and maybe Stanford surprise everybody and end up being the 2 participants in the championship and the SEC's out. So, again, I don't care one way or the other about who wins the College World Series. And this has always been the thing that most people hate. Like, when teams win something great, like South Carolina fans, I know you won the College World Series a couple of times and played for it even more. But I've always sort of talked about how different that is from winning a championship in football simply by posing this question. And maybe because of COVID-19 in 2020, the 2021 College World Series was a little more memorable for you. But most of the time, if you ask somebody, hey, who won the college basketball national championship this past season? Or who won the college baseball World Series this past season? Most of the time, your average fan can't tell you. They can't tell you. But the majority of them can tell you who won the football national championship. And that's a big difference. That's why the big kahuna, the big trophy to hoist is that golden scepter. hour 2. Mike Yuva scheduled to join the program. We'll try to hook up with him right here on the show that shakes the Southland. It is Clemson Sports Talk on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400. Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Accidents Augusta Highway, Peach Festival Road, Clemson Road and Hard Scrabble Road. Also, I-20 eastbound at Wilson Boulevard, there's a disabled vehicle. And 378 near I-20, there's an accident. From the 103.5 FM WBOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Second half of the year looking busier than the first? Hire with Indeed. Their powerful platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates in one place. Sponsor a job and immediately get a short list of quality candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Attention, anyone shopping for a new Jeep, turn up your radio now. Announcing the special order $1 sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. Here's how it works. Visit Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone and order the exact Jeep you want. Put just $1 down. Plus, we'll give you a $1,000 special order discount. No limitations, no exclusions. Just order any Jeep model, any Jeep trim level, and it's yours for just $1 down and $1,000 off MSRP. Best of all, your price is locked in, and you're protected against a Jeep price increase. Other Jeep dealers are charging tens of thousands of dollars over MSRP. But right now, you can order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP.
Gotta go to Galliana.
$1 down, $1,000 below MSRP Jeep sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Example 2022 Jeep Wrangler. $1 down, $618 per month for 60 months at 4% APR. Plus tax and tag includes $225 closing fee. Expires month end.
Stop avoiding your erectile dysfunction issue. Peak Performance for Men is offering their best offer yet. Call today to book your free consultation and free blood flow evaluation. Peak Performance for Men helps over 80% of men who receive the treatment experience long-term improvement. All it takes is one phone call for a free consultation and free blood flow evaluation. Call 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Take an ordinary putty knife and scrape off the old wax ring. Place the new wax ring over the flange, then line up the bolts with the bowl and gently set in place, making sure a proper seal is created with the flange and drain. Next.
Dad?
Yeah, sweetie.
Is that an old plumbing manual?
Oh, yeah, honey.
We really need to get some new books.
Right, do you want me to stop?
Nah, I kind of want to know how it ends.
Okay. Tighten the bolts, line up the flushing valve to the opening in the top of the bowl, and secure the tank with a screwdriver and crescent wrench.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
WCOS Columbia, Fox Sports Radio 1400, an iHeart radio station available everywhere on our free iHeartRadio app. #1 for music, radio, and podcasts, all in one.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set.
Just call me Swanny.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
is hour number 2. That's drive time right here on the show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk. Lawton Swan hanging out with you. Mike Yuva, GamecockCentral.com, joins the program. And earlier we were talking about the great quarterbacks in college football a year ago. Not only would DJ have been mentioned, but also South Carolina's starting quarterback, who was then the starter at Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler. Mike, welcome in, buddy. I'll start there. I mean, the expectations for this Gamecock program are as high as they've been in a while. How much of that's going to fall on the shoulders of Rattler in year one, in your opinion?
I think a lot of it's going to, because not just for the fact of South Carolina coming into the season with high expectations like you alluded to, but the fact that Spencer Rattler for the last, not even just the last, I'd say 8 months, you probably go back even before that, probably the last 16 months, going back to the end of, the previous season beforehand, before he lost the job out to Caleb Williams at Oklahoma. So, there was a lot of hype with him going into last season. He was one of the guys that was considered to be in the mix to be able to win the Heisman. We all know how things played out. So there's a big chip on his shoulder. So I think the combination of the expectations that South Carolina has going into this season on top of the expectations that Rattler has for himself personally, I think it just elevates it to a level that's even more than it's been in, like you said, in quite some time, but it just takes it to a whole different level.
Now, as far as, look, if you've got a guy, Mike, who has established himself, has earned the trust of the staff, all of those things, if there's a hiccup, a struggle, the coaches can go, all right, we're just going to let him fight through this. He's our guy. For Rattler, though, you don't really have that background, right? So, what have you kind of been able to gain about, what type of leeway, maybe that's the right word we're looking for here, is he going to have? If he's not just great out of the gates, is it short leash? Or is it, hey, we're going to probably really try to roll with this guy as best we can?
I think going into camp, you're going to hear the same spiel that you hear from pretty much every coach in the country, which is, every job's open. Every week we're evaluating, blah, 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 blah. We know that. Okay, that's great. I think that leash, though, for Rattler, I don't think it's short at all. I think he's going to have a lot of leeway, because unless he's going out there and he's just putting up historically bad numbers that would make Todd Ellis blush with the number of interceptions he threw, even though Todd is one of the best Gamecock quarterbacks of all time, and I know some people get so caught up with the interception numbers. Love you, Todd. I think what you have to evaluate is just the fact of what he brings to the table, and knowing that he's still learning a difficult system. And it's going to be a tough schedule at the beginning of the year. I've said this before. There's a possibility that USC could start the year off 1-2. They might lose to Arkansas that second week in Arkansas. Then you have to come back home, play Georgia, the defending national champs, at noon. You could start the year 1-2, but yet still go on and be able to get 7 wins in the regular season, if not more. So I think the question now is more so, if it does happen that way, and does play out that way, depending on how Rattler performs, if he has a crappy start, how does he bounce back? How does he handle adversity? How does he handle these situations? So unless he goes out there and just loses the confidence from the coaching standpoint, they don't just lose confidence from him, with him, I'd be shocked to see Rattler have a short leash, just because of the talent that he has in the situation that he's walking into, which is coming in, trying to pick up a new system, and they have high expectations for him.
Mike, you get on Twitter at Mike_EA, where he works for GamecockCentral.com to cover the South Carolina Gamecock program. So you mentioned Arkansas, September 10th, kickoff out of Fayetteville. Do Gamecock fans recognize how good that Arkansas team was a year ago? Or do they get the hey, that's Arkansas, we'll be all right kind of treatment?
I think a lot of people are looking at that game as being a tricky game. Not just the fact that it's in Arkansas, but the fact is, like you said, this is a team that has done some sneaky good things over the last couple of seasons. I think the tough part is when you play in the division that they do in the SEC on that west side, I mean, it's just difficult to really stand out from the rest of the crowd unless you find a way to be able to put yourself in the mix of conversations with the Alabams of the world. But I think with Arkansas, playing at home is certainly something that's, I won't say scaring, but it certainly is giving them more respect, and they're not getting overlooked by Gamecock fans going into that game, just because they know it's a difficult place to play. So I think the big thing is, like I said, you're going into a situation with so many new faces, and it starts with Spencer Rattler, but you can trickle down to the numerous 7+ transfers that came in this year for USC. And you look at just, okay, it's not going to be an easy schedule to start. If they're just able to find a way to be able to go out there and get some confidence after week one, yeah, you make yourself feel good going into Arkansas. But at the same time, too, I mean, that's going to be Rattler's first SEC road game of his career. I mean, that's not going to be easy by any means. So there's just so many unknowns, so many firsts that will take place that week. I think not just from a fan base standpoint, but I think from a coaching staff standpoint, they're looking forward to it because they want to see how Rattler and a lot of these new faces are going to respond in a hostile environment, because it will certainly be hostile when it's 11 a.m. Central Time and you got people already, irritated that they have the game so early. They're going to be ready to go.
Again, Mike Uva's on Twitter at Mike_UVA. So I know recruiting obviously has ticked up a little bit for the Gamecocks with several commits over the past couple of days. Kelton Henderson, I know, is a young man that sort of has the Gamecock Nation talking a little bit. Give me some insight into that young man if you know much about him.
Yeah, so he's a 4-star recruit, 4-star athlete that South Carolina has heavily recruited to play wide receiver. And the first two things that come to mind when I watch his tape is explosive and just quick. He has a lot of speed. He is someone that has made an impact not just in football at the high school level, but he's made a big impact track-wise too. So he's a guy that, when you look at being able to do multiple things for South Carolina, he's not a guy that has the most height in the world, but at the same time too, if he has speed in college football, as we've seen over the years, I mean, I don't need to explain that to Clemson, because Clemson has produced probably more top talent at receiver over the last 5-10 years than probably any other school in the country. If you have guys that are just capable of making plays, it doesn't matter how tall they are. So I think that should certainly excite Gamecock fans. He's coming from Florida too. I mean, I give credit to what Shane Beamer was able to accomplish this past week, landing 4 commitments, 4 verbal commitments, 3 going public on Sunday. All 3 of those guys that went public, they're from Florida. And it started, of course, with Henderson. Henderson is from Fort Myers, Florida. So you're trying to create that pipeline in a state where there's just so much freaking talent. And it's funny because just 2 weeks ago, I talked to former South Carolina captain Shaq Wilson, and I asked him, I said, what do you think played a big role in that 4-year stretch? Probably the best 4-year stretch in Gamecock history. And you look from 2009, or even all the way up to 2013. And he said simply, he's like, we were able to recruit talent from Florida. We were able to steal talent from the state of Florida. So I think it's important for USC to be able to do that. And I don't know how much of that is just a coincidence. But I think, Beamer recognizes the talent in that state. And if you're able to go get guys down there, especially a guy like Henderson who's a 4-star, and you're able to start generating the buzz that took place this past weekend at USC, it's only going to help them as they go into the second official visit weekend, which should be coming up on June 24th. And if you're able to continue to get guys from the state of Florida, and you're able to, more importantly, get wins this season, I think you might see that pipeline continue to expand in the coming years.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think you got to keep your eyeballs on for South Carolina and really Clemson to this point. Like, it's great to control the state, and there are a couple of, really good, talented players coming up in the next couple of classes, but you've got to be more than just the Palmetto State with your recruiting. And to see the list that South Carolina's currently gotten, the commitments, guys from Florida, like you mentioned, Georgia, Maryland, and I think that's the thing. You're not going to be able to create a national profile per se until you win on the field, but you can, with the right culture, still go out and get guys to improve your program.
Well, it's funny. I don't know how you feel about it, but I mean, I've had these conversations with my coworkers. I've had conversations with people that are close to the football program and outside of the program as well. And one thing that I bring up, and it's like one of those things that, you bring it up on the message board, or you bring it up when you have some of the shows that we do at Gamecock Central. It's like, as soon as you say, well, there's other talent in Georgia. Oh, we have a lot of talent here in South Carolina. Slow down. No one is saying that there's not talent in the state of South Carolina. We know that. And this isn't even a South Carolina thing. I'm talking Clemson as well. I'm talking the whole state of South Carolina. I don't know if Clemson fans feel the same way. Obviously, they've grown into being a national power over the last couple of years, so their recruiting has changed a lot. But the point being is, there's just this notion of, we have to have this guy. We have to have this. We got to make sure we put the fence up and keep in-state talent. Okay, I can go with that, of course. But at the same time, too, it's just like, if you're just getting guys from one state, what's going to happen if they're not producing at the same rate with the same caliber of talent as in maybe other years? Then you're going to get stuck with just people in your state.
Well, and I'll take it one step further for you, Mike. That whole thought process, in my opinion, from Tiger fans, Gamecock fans, comes from a time when Tennessee, when Penn State and other programs would come in and take players left and right. And that's just, it hadn't been the case as of late in a lot of respects.
No, and I will say this. The talent, and I don't know if Shane Beamer necessarily would agree with me, but if you look back to the years that Beamer got heavily praised with the recruiting, and rightfully so, they did a great job. He was part of that, and the coaching staff, when Spurrier was here, they did an outstanding job with being able to land some of the best talent in the state of South Carolina during that time period. When you're looking at the Stephon Gilmores, the Jadeveon Clowney's, the Marcus Lattimores, and you can go down the list, right? But it's been quite some time when you go back and you look at these different, whether it even be with us at On3, 24/7, or Rivals, or ESPN's Top 300, the talent in the state of South Carolina has not been the exact same since that time period. That's not saying that there's not talent in the state, but the same caliber in terms of the 5 stars, the 4 stars, it just hasn't been consistent. Look at this year. I don't have it in front of me. Go look at this year. Go look at last year. It's just not the exact same. So if you pigeonhole yourself and you're just focused on just getting talent from one state, and in this case, I'm talking South Carolina, I think you're really doing a disservice. I mean, if that was the case, shoot, why does Clemson go out and get some of the top talent from across the country? I mean, it's proven that if you're able to go out and you get players from across the country that are the best, you're going to put yourself in a better situation. If that was the case, Alabama produces great talent for high school. I think we all know that. Why doesn't Alabama just recruit in their backyard? Because there's other guys out there. So I think, it's finding that balance, right? Being able to do what you can to be able to keep the top players in your state that you have in state. But at the same time, too, not getting caught up with this whole notion of, we got to make sure we keep, this is a good guy. Okay. He might be a good player, but is he a good fit for your program? And are you going to get so caught up with making sure you're keeping in-state guys, this and that you're going to lose out on other guys? I mean, you just got to. It's more so a fan thing than anything else that I've noticed. It's like, hey, it's okay. It's okay to take a deep breath and be like, hey, it's okay to go out and get some players from other states.
Well, and Clemson, with 10 guys in their class, does not have a single guy committed yet from the state of South Carolina. And I think the other thing, too, a lot of that is sort of people wanting to defend their backyard, right? Like, you've seen this kid play because he plays in your conference. You feel like, why don't they have an offer from Clemson, or why haven't they been, why aren't they committed to South Carolina, et cetera? When the reality is, but it's a big country, and there are a lot of great players out there that aren't in the Palmetto State. And I don't believe and I don't think you believe this either. You can't win a championship simply with homegrown talent in this state. It's not big enough.
Swanny, change the sport. Change the sport. Look what just happened with baseball. Go ask Monty Lee. Phenomenal baseball coach. Phenomenal job that he did over at Clemson. But times had to change for them. They had to make a change as their head coach. And if you look at the talent that they had on their roster this past year, there's a lot from South Carolina. That's not saying the talent isn't good, but it can be the difference sometimes between being a good team and being a great team.
Well, and I was looking at some of y'all's stuff on On3, and I think if I think back all these years, at South Carolina, the top guys in that program have been people from the state. It's been Clown.
Absolutely.
Right. That's the key. You got to get those guys, but then you got to understand that there's a lot of other players out there you got to go land. You can't be this, I don't know what you call it, some kind of me-ism, if you will, in our backyard is something that fans got to shake.
Yeah, and it goes back to just being able to create those pipelines. Because like I mentioned before, Shaq Wilson in the state of Florida, they were able to recognize some of the top talent that they went up against or some of the camps that they all go to because they're all Florida guys, and they recognize that they're going to play for Steve Spurrier. Because of that, other guys looked around saying, hey, if he's playing there, shoot, we know how talented he is. Let's go play with him. That was the same case in South Carolina during the heyday. Marcus Lattimore, and I may have said this on your airwaves before, but Lattimore has talked about it on our podcast that if it wasn't for Alshon Jeffrey committing to South Carolina, he's not sure if he would have committed to the Gamecocks. And Clemson was in the mix, as we all know. I'm not saying that he would have gone to Clemson, but the point being, which is just exactly what USC fans want to hear right now on a Tuesday. But the point being is when you have certain guys make those commitments, it becomes – people talk about the pipeline. That's what it is. It's a domino effect more times than not, that other guys, whether they played against each other in school or they go to camps together, they know how good someone else is. And if you continue to go back to the well, it's just going to continue to expand. So that was the case with South Carolina. When you mentioned the Clownies of the world, it just became a domino effect. That's what we're seeing with Florida right now. That's what we've seen from Clemson over the years in certain hotbed areas. That's what you have to do. It's just not going to happen overnight. But if you continue to just go after it over and over and over, it's just going to continue to expand. And some of those 3 stars over time will turn into 4 stars when you go back to that area. And then eventually they'll turn into 5 stars. So, that is, to me, how you create your pipeline. And you just continue to expand it. But if you're so focused on just one area, okay, you can you can have some luck there. But at the same time, too, like I said, not every year Columbia is going to be producing 5 stars. Jordan Birches of the world. That's not going to happen every year. If you just get so caught up on certain areas and that's all you're doing recruiting, I'm not saying USC is doing that right now, but if you just do that, at some point, you're going to run out. There's going to be a shortage, essentially.
Good point, buddy. Follow this man on Twitter at Mike_UVA, GamecockCentral.com, the website. Mike, talk to you soon, bud.
I appreciate it, Swanny.
When we get back, I'm going to give Texas A&M fans just some food for fodder because apparently some of those guys are struggling to kind of focus on College Station. They're worried too much still about Austin. They're worried about the Longhorns coming into the SEC. Trust me, A&M, and it's not A&M is not as great as maybe they want to believe at this point, but trust me when I tell you this. Do not focus on Texas. Don't waste any more time focusing on Texas. Stay with us.
Now, your chance at a trip to our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword Vegas to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Vegas to 200-200.
Fox Sports Radio 1400 traffic.
Still working on getting that disabled vehicle out of the road, I-20 eastbound at Wilson Boulevard. That's exit 71. Also an accident, Clemson Road and Hard Scrabble Road. And still working the accident, Augusta Highway, Peach Festival Road. That should be moved soon. And 378 near I-20. From the 103.5 FM WPOC Traffic Center, I'm Gary Mills with Columbia's most dependable traffic.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hey DQ fans, the new All-Star Summer Blizzard Treat lineup is here with flavors like the Girl Scout Thin Mints, the new Oreo Dirt Pie, Caramel Fudge Cheesecake, Cotton Candy, and more. There's something for everybody, only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
The job market is competitive right now, so you need to be competitive to attract top talent. If you're trying to fill open positions at your business, iHeartMedia is here to help. Use radio and digital targeting to find fresh, passive candidates currently in the workforce. These candidates are listening right now, looking for new opportunities. Together, we can let the community know you're hiring. Visit iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
It's summertime at Galliana Kia on Greystone. And summertime is the best time to get out of your old car and upgrade to a cool new Kia. Featuring brand new Kias below MSRP. Like a 2022 Kia Rio LX, just $16,990. All new 2023 Galliana Kia Sportage LX, now in stock. Lease for just $259 per month. Plus, we'll give you exactly what your trade is worth, down to the penny. High mileage, cosmetic issues, unreliable, all trade-ins are welcome. So if you want to get out of your old car and upgrade to a cool new Kia, don't miss the summertime sales event.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
New Kias for sale below MSRP. Only at Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Rio stock number 2K1124. Sportage stock number 3K3011. 36 month lease, $39.99 to Asani plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. No security deposit subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
Hey everyone, I'm CJ Toledano.
And I'm Alex Wong. If you want a podcast about the NBA and everything that's taking place off the court, I'm talking about fashion, I'm talking about social media, I'm talking about favorite post-game quotes, we've got you.
You know we're talking about starter jackets, Alex.
Yeah, I know, and you're going to remind me about the Charlotte Hornets one that my parents never bought me.
Ooh, I'm sorry about that.
Anyways, check out Running the Break with CJ and Alex on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I want to be a glass countertop in a new home.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's best birthday present.
When I grow up, I want to be a football stadium.
When I grow up, I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
When I grow up, I want to be a fancy
When I grow up,
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
When I grow up, I want to be a bench on a forest trail. I want to be a rocking chair on a sunny porch. I want to be a skyscraper. I want to be.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. A public service advertisement brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Looking for South Carolina's favorite country? You'll find it at 97.5 WCOS.
Rocking and rolling along with you on a Tuesday afternoon. And boy, I'll tell you what, the rain came through earlier, knocked down some of the temperature, and I have appreciated that. So I was talking earlier about the College World Series, and you know we're partners with the guys over at texags.com, texags.com. I'm telling you, best site probably covering college sports in general. You ought to see. You're going, what do you mean, Swanny? You got a site that covers college sports in Clemson, yeah, but still, go look at what they got going on. And maybe one day, you know, you can help us get there, or at least get closer by subscribing. $1 for your first 3 months, and then after that, $63.17. That's right, Gamecocks, you heard me, $63.17. But there was an article on Yahoo that I saw that talked about how A&M fans feel still about Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC. And you got to remember, that was a part of why they left. Like, that was the reason. One of the reasons was Texas and the Longhorn Network is why they decided to get out of the Big 12. And then all of a sudden, just a few short years later, here come Hook 'em Horn Nation. Here comes, Boomer Sooner.
Tangle with me, and I'll crush you like a paper cup.
And because of that, their fans are agitated. Message board fodder. One A&M fan had enough of being in Texas's shadow, wants no part of the Longhorns in the SEC. The fan wrote this on TexAg's message board, and it was screenshotted and shared. They said, I don't know where any of this is going, and about had my fill of the SEC treatment of A&M. We really showed the loss, and TU. Oh wait, now here they come. For a nickel, I call TU and OU and say, let's rethink all this. This tractor pull conference is not who we are. We are never going to be respected in the SEC. Mark my words. When TU joins, it will get worse. As for whatever reason, the SEC bows down to Texas University. Zoinks! So I think here's the thing that you've got to recognize if you are Texas A&M for a second. And I know last season was not a success outside of beating Alabama. I also know that Jimbo Fisher's record, whether you want to admit it or not, is eerily similar to Kevin Sumlin's record through 48 games. Jimbo Fisher and Kevin Sumlin both had 34 wins at A&M. Kevin Sumlin had 9 ranked wins. Jimbo Fisher only has 7. Kevin Sumlin had 5 ranked road wins. Jimbo Fisher has none. Kevin Sumlin made $17 million less than Jimbo Fisher. So the facts are this. 34-14, 1 Alabama win for Fisher. 34-14 through their first 48 games. 1 Alabama win for Kevin Sumlin. Sumlin would finish his career 51-26, 25-23, with back-to-back-to-back 4-4 seasons in the SEC. Back-to-back-to-back. Fisher just finished a 4-4 SEC season. 2 more like that, and he is essentially still just a different version of Kevin Sumlin. And so there are a couple of ways you got to look at this, Aggie fans. Number one, you can't sit on a high horse and talk about how great you are. Number 2, relish in the recruiting class and hope that it produces. Okay? And number 3, stop focusing on Texas. You focus on A&M. Like, it's not hard. If you constantly have your eyes on Texas and what they're doing, then you're not focused on the right thing, which is what you are doing and who your program is. You're worried about somebody else. This is essentially when kids say that somebody else is doing something, but then they're doing something similar? How is it that you know everything that's supposed to be done? How is it that you know the way it's supposed to be done, but yet the only time that you self-monitor is when you watch somebody else? And that's really not even self-monitoring. You're monitoring them. You're not even really, you're not even really self-monitoring. A&M just needs to focus on A&M. I mean, what other option do you have? I mean, I guess, yeah, you could leave for the ACC if you wanted. I guess you could figure something else like that out. We could go back to the Big 12, a shell of a conference that it once was at this point. Yeah, I don't think so. A&M fans, look, Texas has not been relevant in ages. They're not going to be relevant, in my opinion, very quickly anyway. Just focus on your house. Don't worry about everybody else. But some A&M fans, as proud as they are, just can't get past Hook 'em Horn Nation. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line, be a part of the program anytime. Speaking of Hook 'em Horns, it's had an impact on the College World Series already in a strange way. I'll tell you how when we get back on the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk.
This is Michael David from Seattle. I'm 51 years old, and 6 months ago, I started taking Andro 400 to increase my testosterone. Since then, I've lost 35 pounds of fat, and my waist went from size 38 to size 32. I have more energy, and I look and feel 20 years younger. And now my wife tells me I have to take Andro 400.
Hi, this is Ron Johnson from Utah. After 10 weeks of taking Andro 400, I lost 13 pounds, and my waist went from 36 to 33. That was 8 years ago. I continue to take Andro 400, and I've maintained my weight at 172. Gained muscle and energy. I'm 63 now and feel better than I have in 30 years.
Andro 400, the natural way to increase testosterone, lose belly fat, gain energy, and feel great. Try Andro 400, the safe, effective, affordable way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
Now, your chance at a trip to our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Text the nationwide keyword Vegas to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Vegas to 200-200.
It's Colin Cowherd. Here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Boston showed their true colors in a decisive Game 5 loss. They looked young, tight, started slow, collapsed late, too many turnovers. The Warriors, meanwhile, looked like a team that's been to 6 finals in 8 years, playing their best defense of the series. But Boston couldn't take advantage of a dreadful shooting night from Steph. Now it's win or go home, Game 6 for the Celtics. I like the Warriors. I'm Colin Cowherd. Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2022 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Every member's waiting to impress. Learn more at MBUSA.com, MBUSA.com.
Are you ready for summer? Wherever summer takes you, make sure you take your favorite radio station with you on your adventures with the free iHeartRadio app. That's right. No matter how far from home you travel, this station, the music you love, and the best podcasts in the world will be right there with you in your pocket.
Summer soundtrack.
Sunscreen, flip-flops, and the free iHeart app. Must-haves for any summer checklist. Download the free iHeartRadio app and discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love this summer.
iHeartRadio.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it. You hear it every time you finish a meal and never feel anything. But if we were able to associate this sound with a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural response from you. Save the food. Why are we doing this, you may ask? Save the food. Because this ad is trying to change your after-meal behavior through brainwashing. Because food waste costs the average family $1,500 a year. Save the food. Cha-ching. And $1,500 extra bucks is like getting a pay raise. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted. Which could pay for your child's braces. Save the food. Cha-ching. You're promoted.
Check out my braces.
So when you hear this sound, rethink your behavior. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org. That's MADD.org.
Want to hit a home run with your smart speaker? Alexa, play Fox Sports Radio 1400 on iHeartRadio.
That sounds like a pretty good choice to me.
The show that shakes the Southland Clemson Sports Talk on a Tuesday. Thank you to Mike Yuva earlier. Real quick, if you're listening to the podcast, go listen to a brief moment from yesterday's podcast and let me know, do we sound better? I've been working on it. Maybe we sound worse. Don't want to hear that. I think over the air we're going to sound great because my buddy John Merriam, he knows how to tweak everything up just right. But I mentioned earlier about Texas A&M and the Aggies needing to focus on their own, and maybe with the College World Series having A&M and Texas in it, they'll end up squaring off, and then we can talk about this a little bit more. But focus on College Station. Do not focus on Austin, as I mentioned earlier. That's just a tip from your old Uncle Swanny. Because I'm going to tell you, it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not as black and white when it comes down to who's envious of who with these two programs. Because there's a lot of envy from Austin. Okay? Trust me on that front. And again, these two teams very well could face off in the College World Series, as both are playing on Friday. A&M at 2 against Oklahoma. Texas at 7 against Notre Dame. But the national anthem singer, who was supposed to be there, said his performance has been canceled because he made a horns down gesture before the Women's College World Series semifinal between Texas and Oklahoma State. Zach Collier, who is a 27-year-old history teacher in the Dallas area and an A&M alumni, or alumnus, posted on Facebook that his performance was nixed because of that. Collier told ESPN on Tuesday that he's been singing the anthem at sporting events for the past 10 years, including several A&M sporting events, when he still lived in College Station, along with the Houston Astros, the Rangers. He said, quote, "I'm a neutral party and show my support or lack of support for a certain team after the anthem." He said, "I can see how somebody could be upset with that. But the reason I posted wasn't because I was upset with what they said. Hey, you shouldn't have done that. It was because they called the horns down an offensive gesture. They said that I mocked the other team. Those words specifically are why I posted what I posted about, saying that I'm making a mockery of participating teams because I put horns down is ridiculous." That I agree with 100%. My son, let me tell you, my son can't wait for Clemson and South Carolina this year in Death Valley. He wants to have the chicken that's on a rope and you're like stringing it around. You drag it behind you. People just beat the brakes off of it. The little rubber chicken. Like, that's his thing. Like, it's what, Dad, I got to get the rubber chicken. I want to have the rubber chicken at the game. Like, if the rubber chicken and horns down gesture are offensive, I can't wrap my mind around it. Those things have been around my whole life. And to do the hook 'em down or whatever it's to me no more offensive than a Longhorn fan doing the up, right? Like if you're going to say that doing the hook 'em down is offensive, then is the up of also offensive? Because wouldn't it have to be? It's reminiscent of a time when my daughter was very little, maybe 3, maybe 4. I have no idea where she learned this from, but she came into the room and she looked at me and she said, "Dad, I gotta show you something." And I was like, "Yeah, what?" She goes, "This is bad." And she shot a bird. And then she flipped it upside down where it's facing down. She said, "But that's not." I don't think that's how it works. Like, I don't think the hook 'em down can be considered offensive, and it has been penalized, which is the other ridiculous thing. It has been penalized. How can hook 'em down be a negative and hook 'em up be that's fine? Like, I just completely disagree. We sucked the fun out of college, or excuse me, out of pro football a few years ago. It became the no fun league. And the NFL finally recognized that it would be okay if players spend a little time celebrating touchdowns and having a little fun for the fans. And it's been great. Team unity, all of that. But to tell me that a hook 'em down is offensive and to tell this guy that, like, if you don't want him to sing, hey, that's fine. We want a neutral party singing. But I also want people that are fans. 803-450-0086. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. What do you think? Is that out of bounds? I mean, that's wild, quite frankly. Again, the NCAA College World Series gets going Friday. Texas A&M and Oklahoma at 2 o'clock. Texas and Notre Dame at 7. Both games on ESPN. If both A&M and Texas win, they will advance to face off with one another. If both A&M and Texas lose, they will advance to face off with one another. If they don't, the only way they would hook up would be if one of them can fight back through the loser side of bracket 1. Bracket 2 matchups begin on Saturday with Stanford taking on Arkansas at 1 o'clock on ESPN, and then Auburn taking on Ole Miss at 6 o'clock. So that's a quick look again at the College World Series as it gets going out in Omaha at Charles Schwab Field. 803-450-0086. I don't know, 2 hours, man. They go by fast, don't they? 2 hours in the books. We'll hit a quick break. We'll come back. We'll put a big old bow on the Tuesday edition of the show that shakes the Southland. If you've never been to our website, go check it out right now. Put the .com on it, doggone it. That website is ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Stay with us.
As the country bounces back from COVID and mask mandates are lifted, your business needs a lift too. Promote your company right here, right now. Radio ads connect with 93% of Americans every week. That's more than Google, more than Facebook, more than TV. In fact, radio reaches 20% more millennials than TV. Want more of the people you want to talk to all in one place? Visit iHeartAdvertising.com and get AM and FM working for you. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
Attention, anyone shopping for a new Jeep, turn up your radio now. Announcing the special order $1 sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. Here's how it works. Visit Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone and order the exact Jeep you want. Put just $1 down. Plus, we'll give you a $1,000 special order discount. No limitations, no exclusions. Just order any Jeep model, any Jeep trim level, and it's yours for just $1 down and $1,000 off MSRP. Best of all, your price is locked in and you're protected against a Jeep price increase. Other Jeep dealers are charging tens of thousands of dollars over MSRP. But right now, you can order the exact Jeep you want for just $1 down and $1,000 below MSRP. Gotta go to Galliano. $1 down, $1,000 below MSRP Jeep sales event at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. Example 2022 Jeep Wrangler. $1 down, $618 per month for 60 months at 4% APR. Plus tax and tag includes $225 closing fee. Expires month end.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Possible Finance. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. No guarantee of credit score increase. Terms apply. Available at PossibleFinance.com/privacy.
I screwed up my credit when I was younger.
I often find myself scraping by right before rent is due.
If you need cash or are looking to rebuild credit, Possible Finance can loan you up to $500 in minutes. Good credit not required. Just text SCORE to 64,000 to download the Possible Finance app.
Within an hour of applying, there was money on my debit card. Where else are you going to get money at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night?
Repay the loan in installments and change your payment date with no fee.
For someone who's building credit, this is the best. My credit score went up after the first 2 payments.
I had trouble paying, so I moved my payment 2 weeks later without hurting my score. It helped me big time.
Just text SCORE to 64,000 to download the Possible Finance app and get up to $500 in minutes. Text SCORE to 64,000 to download Possible Finance. Text SCORE to 64,000.
Dave, what are you doing?
Just sending a gift to Dave 2037.
Who?
Me in the future. I save a little money from every paycheck as a gift to Dave 2037, so he can spend it on things like anti-gravity boots or a hologram Doberman, something cool like that. I think Dave 2037 deserves it. He worked hard. What are you getting Steve 2037?
I guess I was thinking Steve 2037 would just fend for himself.
Well, all right, but don't expect to be borrowing my anti-gravity boots.
You want to have money in your future? You got to start saving now. Putting some money from every paycheck into a savings account or contributing to your 401k can make a big difference later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Hey, let's just hope Steve 2037 doesn't get his hands on a cool time machine, because he is going to come back here and knock some sense into you.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
For 60 years now, the Federation Center of the Blind has been making a difference in the lives of visually impaired South Carolinians through its innovative services. You can help them continue their important work by calling 803-254-3777 or emailing nfbsc@sc.r.com.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos. An iHeartRadio station.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answers to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Final segment on a Tuesday afternoon. Again, thank you to Mike Yuba for hanging out with us. Definitely getting the show recorded and up. As a matter of fact, just to kind of mess with people, I'm actually going to take the show live online for a minute, and my lips, it's going to be like you're watching an old dubbed over version of like of Godzilla or something, because my mic is not going to match up and my movements are not going to match up with what I'm saying. But I'm just going to see, just for fun, as we go through here on the show that shakes the Southland on a Tuesday afternoon. 803-450-0086. Kind of funny. So what I'm doing just to give you a little peek behind the curtain here. The show is on, but the voice is definitely not going to be matching up. So I'm actually kind of pulling a fast one, and I'm wondering if anybody's going to comment and be like, Swanny, you don't look like you're talking when you're talking. But that's okay. It's just kind of my little way to get out of here today. And again, the Clemson success on the recruiting trail has been just tremendous as of late, and a couple of more opportunities forthcoming for Clemson over the next few days. I did see during the show, and actually put this over for our team of recruiting analysts, Peter Woods, 5-star prospect out of the state of Alabama. Woods is scheduled to commit on July the 8th at 7:45 p.m. I'm assuming that is 7:45 his time. Out in Alabaster, Alabama. He plays at Thompson High School. 4-star, 5-star kid, I guess, depending on where you look. 6'2", 263 pounds. A lot of people thinking that he's going to end up with the Alabama Crimson Tide and stay home. So, that's coming up on July the 8th. Other commitments to eyeball, Zachariah Owens commits on July the 4th. And then tomorrow, Victor Burley and Jalen Kilgore both have scheduled commitments looming. So been a great week for Clemson on the recruiting trail. If you've been paying attention during the program, the Tigers recruiting has continued to roll right on. And that's just kind of the nature of who they are right now. The right fit. Speaking of which, we got a great article up right now over on the website as well about Ronan Hannafin. We've also got an article now about Marcus Dixon up over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. So make sure you go over there. Make sure you check it out. And again, help us continue to grow and improve by sharing our work and telling your friends and neighbors about us. Because without you guys, this show, will cease to exist. Like, you are the lifeblood of this program, the lifeblood of our website, and we hope you'll go out and support us on that front. By the way, for everybody that's like, oh man, I'm glad the video's back. I also ordered a new camera, which I'm hoping is going to give us some better quality video and a better angle. Because right now, if you're watching, the head of the tiger is not in the full face of the Clemson Sports Talk Tiger is not in the video. And that's a little bit of a pain for me. But it's the little things. Again, we are ramping up our recruiting coverage. I hope you will check it out. If you have not, please do. $1 for 3 months. And then after that, it's $63.17 for 1 year of coverage. That's right, Gamecock Nation. I said it. $63.17. But that's how people can support us. That's how you can support us. And again, if you are a bit, let me say this too, a business owner in the area, and you want to do some advertising, I can help you out with that as well. Especially if you're a Clemson Tiger and you want to support this show. I've never had a realtor. I need a Clemson realtor. I just do. I've never had like a Clemson mechanic. I need that. Or a power equipment guy. I need that. Like, I could go on and on about the type of people that we need to support us. So send them our way. Lawton, LAWTON at ClemsonSportsTalk.com, because you guys are the lifeblood of what we do here, and you help us take everything through the roof. We cannot do it without you. Again, an exciting day and a fun time to be a Clemson Tiger. There is no doubt about that. Looking forward to hanging with you again here on the program tomorrow afternoon from 4 until 6 o'clock. Again, it is the show that shakes the Southland, Clemson Sports Talk, right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 the Midlands, heard around the world on the iHeartRadio app. And don't forget about my buddy Teddy Hefner talking sports from 9 until noon. You can catch his show each and every day as well. Local radio legend Teddy Hefner. Always appreciate the work that he does. Again, thank you to Mike Yuva for hanging out with us today on the program. It's been great keeping up with the Gamecocks and what they've got going on. Recruiting ticking up a little bit in Columbia, not nearly like it is in Clemson, but it is taking some strides in the right direction. Certainly feels that way. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, as always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan on Columbia's home for sports. Fox Sports Radio 1400.